Control your emotions and allow your feelings. Control your emotions and allow your feelings. You say, yeah, but they're the same thing. No. See, distinctions are very, very important. And it's not a blanc, like this is all this and this is all this and they're all the same. Just like you could see, you could see the ice on the lake and the water. Well, you know that the ice and the water are the same and different. That means the water's liquid here, and water makes up the ice, but the ice is frozen. There's a distinction, there's a difference, you see? These distinctions. You want to know the distinction between feeling and emotion. And what I got from the study of the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, which is very excellent, and it always depends on who interprets it too. So that's why, you know, you can study a lot of things and you find out what resonates. It gives you the greatest inner pleasure. And that's how you can know, because we are pleasure seekers. And because our nature is pleasure, we are the divine pleasure of God, of the source of all that is. And that's why we're pleasure seekers, because we're seeking to experience who we are, but we think we're trying to experience something outside, some inanimate object of some kind that's going to help us feel good. So emotions are thought and event related, because a thought like I'll die can make a person scared. I remember when I was little, I said, Mama, when I leave, will I have a pillow in the coffin? She said, yeah. Oh, I said, okay, because I could be sleeping or resting. No, but this is all this theatrical drama where we're participating in a birth-death reality. We're participating, but we're beyond birth and death. You're an eternal being. Birth and death doesn't exist. You always have been, always will be, because eternity is your nature. Well, feeling is your nature. I got in the Bhagavad Gita saying that Satchit Ananda in Sanskrit means eternity, consciousness, bliss, the nature of a soul. And that's just some of the qualities and natures of a spirit, soul, a soul that you are. And these are also labels, so you're beyond label and definition. And yet feelings of compassion, love, generosity, joy, ecstatic bliss, love, and all of its dimensions and reality are so beautiful, and they have very subtle differences that we savor as nectar buzzards. You might seeking pleasure. Well, many people say they get that from the pleasure, say, of the tongue, where you taste this, you taste that, you taste some is yuck, you don't want it, some you like it, some hits this and that. Okay, so taste is also part of the digestion. Emotions are always reacting. They said, he said. You like, you don't like, up, down, health, everything, the day. If it's raining, it's sunning, it's this, it's that, if there's that, blah, blah, and the emotions are going. And what happens is emotions are powerful. Because love is powerful, because the heart generator, where you hold sway with the divine, they say like two birds on a bush, that the divine God within is looking at us, waiting for us to turn around and have a relationship. And we are looking on the outside, trying to find only that which we can get from who we are, which is activating our true divine self. So this, the distinction in the feeling and the emotions are destructive in a sense, because they're thought generated, and they're generated from a reaction to something or someone going on in the exterior outer world, including your physical body. So people are being jerked around emotionally all the time. And there's why people cry. Crying is a wonderful thing if it's crying from love and joy, but there's a lot of cry from self-pity, from I've been hurt, I've been harmed. One of the things that you want to look at is who you are has never been harmed or hurt, because you are a divine being. You're not the mind and you're not the body. So all the pain and suffering is generated through the mind. And also you have then the physical pain or suffering, but it also gets interpreted through the mind. That's why then they can turn off different feelings in the body when they know where that feeling comes from. So if a person has a pain and they're going to have, you know, some operation on that body or something, you know, you don't want to feel it while you're there. So that turns off that switch that then gives a feedback that there's pain or something so that you could do something about it. It's kind of like a protection kind of a thing. But what we do is we use the pain and the suffering of these emotions as some way of protection. But see, if people can get their emotions of hatred generating, they want to hate and kill somebody, or some animal, or they get a joy out of seeing the suffering of someone or some animal. That's because usually they've been tortured somehow as a child or at some point in their lives, and it takes them off their track. So you see how people have certain predominant emotions, and then they use also those emotions to control and dominate other people, to manipulate them. And then because we're all intuitive, we're already psychic and very sensitive, but at times we have closed off oftentimes those feelings, so we don't pick it up and feel it as much, but it's there. It's a very overwhelming thing. And it's all about the emotions. And actually manifestation is all about the feelings. That's an interesting. Feelings are heart generated. It's who we are. They're very loving, inspiring, feel good, joyful, you know, it's contagious, everybody's feeling good. It's like, you know, I think about my daughter Suzanne, who had left her body and gone to the spiritual world a while back, but when she came into the room, she just lit up the room with her beauty and her love and her joyful being of herself, you see. And that's how you want to be. It's just when your own being, if you're in your center as yourself, you're always in enjoyment because you're enjoying yourself, and you're also enjoying the selves of others because you're picking up on who they are. And like in nature here, everybody here, the trees and the plants, you know, the water, they all have integrity. There's a feeling here, you see, there's a feeling. And you can also use those feelings and emotions. Like if you're somewhere and you're starting to get these weird emotions, you could be picking them up from someone else, or it's a situation that you have a judgment on that you use to hurt yourself, or you sense what's going on. So you want to be in tune with those emotions and in tune with your feelings. And negative emotion, let's call negative emotions, they're fear-based, terror-based, pain-based kinds of emotions. They turn off the immune system. And that's why hatred brings hatred. And it's already, when you hate someone, you're hurting yourself right then already. And getting us to hate. And who we hate is who we fear. So if you fear anything, you hate it because you fear it, and you have given it its power because it doesn't have any power unless you give it to it, because you're a power giver. That's who you are. So this is to know the distinction between feelings and emotions are very heavy, while also feelings being, say, that when you have a state of beingness or consciousness of pure knowing of the divine. And see, that's what I work on, so that when someone calls me for a mentoring or counseling session, or someone where I work with, my job is to make sure that I'm ready in consciousness, so that it opens that space for the other person. I don't judge them or criticize or condemn them in any way, because that's not what I do. But to create a space, opportunity for that person to step into knowing that they're loved unconditionally, and anything they're going through is a temporary situation. And see, what happens is oftentimes people try and build emotion, and you see these sporting events or any big thing that people got to hate. It's my team, it's your team. This is not a good thing, because when you get in that, you think you're doing something. It also can drain your energy system to be so emotionalized and traumatized and fear-ridden and shaking, you see. And that, it's the mind. And if you ever sense you're in a situation like that, that's what you know you've got to get out of it. You've got to move away from it. And we can have that with loved ones and people, but you say, well, how do I deal with it? Because it's almost, when you tend to get in relationship with people, because you become very sensitive to them and what's going on. But the moment you become dependent on them, and you believe that they're there for your source, as your source and supply, you give them the power of God over you. And the divine is your munificent, I think I said it, and divine sweet presence that loves and adores you in all beings. It's not working for your demise. And when you have a great state of enthusiasm and a state of being, and you don't let other people knock you off that, or pull your chain, or slime you with all their stuff. And when that's the problem, when you watch a movie or you watch the news or something, and a lot of the news and everything are snuff films, because they're showing people blowing up, dying, all that. I don't, that's not what I want to be watching, because you're not the body. And it's also trying to bring fear and nervousness and drama. And some people, they live on that kind of an energy, and then they give it out to everybody else, so it contaminates everybody. So that's the key. You want to stay centered in yourself, in feelings. And the greatest feelings are the ones when you start to experience the paradise, the pleasure of your soul, your beloved soulmate. And that soulmate is with you always. And we all have the same soulmate, and yet we each have our own special relationship. When people say you're not special, everybody's special. And what we tend to think is some people are more special than others, but they're not. And yet some are more expertise in what they do, or more willing to share and express the fullness of their being. And any talents or abilities that anybody else has, you can have too, you see, because you're fully talented, fully able in every single way, in every single aspect of your being. So as we get down to that, know the distinction between your feelings and emotions. Emotions jerk you around. And when you have expectations, you're always going to set yourself up for disappointment. And a lot of people, they live on expectations. Well, I thought you would do this, and I was planning on this, and then you didn't. Well, it's not your fault how they react. And then when other people use those emotions because they have expectations, and many people, their expectations are always already set up that you're going to criticize them or you're going to put them down. So they interpret everything you do and say from a place of being cruel, unsensitive, not caring, but you don't know what's going on because they're interpreting what you're doing or saying or coming from as being that way when maybe it isn't at all, you see. So then their emotions are, and here's the thing, emotions and thinking, analyzing, figuring out, counting, evaluating, you're getting even, blah, 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 all the stuff, old dialogue, what you're going to say sooner, all of that takes energy to run, and we run on the energy called oxygen. It's the gas that keeps us connected to the body. Because if you stop breathing, you actually leave the body. Because that's the connective force, you see, how there. So, as you are letting yourself get caught up in these emotions and the mind thinking, and it takes energy, and that's your oxygen that you're depriving yourself of in the soul. And when we learn how and we practice staying centered in enthusiasm, being able to be aware of what is going on, and if the inner guidance says leave, it's like tune in And realize that a lot of what you're picking up from everyone else. That's why the value of nature, because there's an integrity here. And the value of tuning into that, and the value of breathing and getting the best breath and oxygen that you can. And when you breathe and do some nice, great deep breathing, breathe here into the self, into the soul, and breathe that in, and use your breath also to clear and clean out old belief systems that you don't want, old thoughts or stuff. Let it go, breathe it out, and you use that breath, but you breathe it into the center of the heart. Instead of letting the mind take your power and the mind take your oxygen, and these negative emotions control your energy all of the time, weakening you and making everyone and everything outside yourself the source of your happiness and your pain and your pleasure and struggle, because it isn't. And when you get that, that's called taking responsibility, except that I don't really care for the word, because it means you have the ability to respond. And where do we get into trouble? Always responding to everybody else. Well, they did this, I'm going to do that. They talked to me that way, I'm going to talk to me. They did this, I'm going to teach them a lesson. I'm going to fillet them. I'm going to get these people who have, like somebody else other than I do, and I'm going to fight them and I'm going to kill them because we don't want them. It's that whole mentality. And I'll tell you, you know where it starts from? I know a lot of people, you're going to go, I don't like that when you say, too bad. Killing animals, torturing animals, eating them. And that goes into the killing and the eating of humans, of this. I mean, it's disgusting, completely disgusting. And you say, well, you're judging me. No, not at all. I had some friends say, because I was talking about being a vegetarian, you're judging us. We're not. No, I'm not. You could do that. I love you. It's not my problem. But I know it works because I know what's worked for me and health of my body. And also I know, for me, that's where it's at. And I like being healthy, and I love feeling good, and I love animals, and I love living entities. I love life itself because we are life, you see. So I'm here to be a cheerleader for life, and you are life. I am your cheerleader. So be cheery, be enthused, effervescent. You see, well, wonder if there's an earthquake. Yeah, I feel the earth move under my feet. Come on. Everything predictive programming, because your power of consciousness is so powerful. It manifests, and when you get groups of people all thinking the same thing, it's like the sun through a magnifying glass. It's going to burn a hole right there because it's all thought. There you go. Be enthused. Have a good time, because be a good time going somewhere to happen. That's who you are.